This food has really become a symbol itself for the holiday and for Mexican culture in general. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Nutrition con Sabor. I'm Krista, I'm a Latina dietitian, and I'm here to talk about Latin American food, nutrition, and food history. My goal with all of my work is to help you embrace your cultural foods and meet your health goals without disconnecting from our food culture. So today's video is a fun one. We're going to focus a little less on nutrition for an episode and just talk purely about food traditions and culture. Today, I'm going to share traditional foods for Dia de los Muertos. The best part is that a lot of you helped me come up with these ideas. So we have a lot of different ideas from different parts of Latin America. If you're planning a Day of the Dead celebration or getting your ofrenda ready and need some ideas for the best foods to include, keep watching. I have a lot of traditional Day of the Dead foods you can try. So there are two main ways foods show up in Dia de los Muertos celebrations. First one, a lot of us are familiar with, is that food is commonly left on the altar or ofrenda as an offering for the spirits of departed loved ones. While you can leave any food on an ofrenda, there are some very classic choices that come up over and over again. Second is that the living also enjoy special Day of the Dead dishes. Maybe you have a gathering or a party for Dia de los Muertos. In that case, it's common to serve food for your guests or for yourself as well. The good news is that a lot of the foods you leave at the altar are also foods you might serve for Day of the Dead celebrations for all of your guests and for yourself. So everyone gets to try some of these treats. Now, I want to take some time to explore some of the most traditional Day of the Dead foods. And this is really fun because I actually asked my community on Instagram to share their favorite dishes for Dia de los Muertos. And then I put that together with my own favorites and what I had seen, and I came up with this list. I do want to point out that the full list of everything everyone submitted to me on Instagram and that I came across in my own research has over 20 foods in it. We won't be going over all of them in this episode, but if you want to see the full list, check out the description. There's a link to the full blog post where I list all of them. Okay, first up is pan de muertos, probably the most classic option. This is a sweetbread or a pan dulce that is flavored with anise and orange blossom. And if you can see here, it's often adorned on top with these bone-like decorations. This was by far the most common response from the community. It's the first thing that came to my head as well. This decoration is iconic. And this food has really become a symbol itself for the holiday and for Mexican culture in general. Next up, we have alegrías. Alegrías are made from puffed amaranth, and they date back thousands of years. Amaranth is actually a traditional Mexican-American heritage food. It's been a part of Mexican spiritual practices for thousands of years, and this food was actually banned by Spanish colonizers because of its religious significance to the indigenous people. I know Dia de los Muertos is famous for its sugar skulls, but it's also common to make the skulls out of the amaranth, very similar to this alegría. This tradition dates back thousands of years, and this is why you still see these amaranth skulls around Dia de los Muertos. Next up is mukbipollo, which is an indigenous Mayan dish. It's been part of Dia de los Muertos festivities in Yucatan for thousands of years. It's somewhat similar to tamales in that this is a corn dough. It's filled with like chicken or meat and wrapped in banana leaves and baked, but it's much larger, and this would really be enough to serve multiple people with one dish. Next, we have a few different hot drinks like Mexican hot chocolate, atole, and café de olla. We're going to go through them one by one, but any of these hot drinks would fit in for a Dia de los Muertos celebration or for the altar. It's also really special to put these foods on your ofrenda because they have this sweet smell to them that kind of permeates and adds this extra sensory element to your ofrenda. Mexican hot chocolate is famous for its frothiness, and it has its own unique flavor profile. Another really popular option is atole and champurrado. They're both hot, sweet drinks made from corn masa. Atole is usually either plain without any additional flavor, or it might have a fruit flavor, or champurrado is basically the same thing but with chocolate flavor. And finally, café de olla is literally coffee in a pot. It's coffee brewed on the stove in a pot with fragrant spices like cinnamon. There might be some cardamom or some clove in there, just a lot of different spices. Next, we have calabaza and tacha, which is stewed pumpkin served with this like brown sugar or piloncillo syrup. This is actually one of the oldest Mexican desserts. Don't forget that pumpkin is originally a Mexican heritage food. When I say squashes are native to Mexico, that includes pumpkin. And of course, we have pozole, which is an iconic Mexican stew with the hominy and the pork. You'll see this at plenty of special occasions, not just Dia de los Muertos, but a lot of you mentioned it. These gorditas de nata were also popular. Nata, or another way to call it in English, is clotted cream. It gives these small cakes this slightly sweet flavor. They're a really good like afternoon treat, and baked goods in general are really popular offerings for the ofrenda. Next up, we have buñuelos. There are a lot of varieties of buñuelos across Latin America. The specific version that was mentioned to me for Dia de los Muertos was these cassava, yuca buñuelos from Nicaragua, and they're served with a sweet citrusy syrup. Another one of the most popular dishes you all named was mole, which is, this rich, complex sauce. There's so many different variations. The most popular one is mole poblano, which has like chocolate and chile and tomato and spices and nuts and seeds in it. And typically it's served over chicken or turkey, but it could be served over a lot of things. Turkey would be the most ancient way to serve mole, but chicken is probably more common these days. And finally, we have fiambre, which is a traditional Guatemalan salad served for holidays, including Day of the Dead. This salad has a lot of different vegetables, cold cuts, and cheeses, all tossed together in like a vinegar-based dressing and then chilled. As you can see, fiambre makes a beautiful display. It really is like a centerpiece and can really make a celebration feel special. So these were some of the most traditional foods all of you named for your Dia de los Muertos altar. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted their recommendations and ideas. I loved hearing about everyone's traditions. And don't forget to check out the blog post for the full list of ideas everyone submitted. We have over 20 ideas. Link will be in the description. So any of the foods we discussed are in that full list of over 20 foods can be added to your altar, and they would make very traditional choices. If you're leaving them overnight, then the pan dulce, any individually wrapped candies, drinks that are in bottles, or nuts and seeds, those all work really well for leaving things overnight. But also, don't forget that an ofrenda is meant to be personal to you and the memory of your loved ones. You don't have to stick to traditional foods from this list. Add the favorite food of whoever you're celebrating to your altar. So let's say you're honoring your grandmother who loved a particular candy. Even if it's not traditional, or even if it's not a Latin American candy, go ahead and add it to the altar. It's really about commemorating that person. If you're building a traditional ofrenda with multiple levels, foods are commonly placed in the middle level, but however you want to set it up makes perfect sense. And don't forget the glass of water for the spirits. So as you can see, there are plenty incredible traditional foods to serve for Day of the Dead, both for your celebration or to add to your altar. I would love for you to leave me a comment or send me a voice note telling me which Day of the Dead food you're going to be enjoying this year. I already have my box of pan dulce or pan de muertos ready to go. And don't forget to subscribe for more episodes on Latin American food, history, and nutrition. Thanks, y'all.